Hey guys, it's Joe here. Let's get sloppy with it. Um, Doing the same as last time. Last video, I read the lawsuit or Ethan Klein's complaint against Casey Tron, and now I'm gonna read the one against Frogan. So here's Frogan, very nice looking young lady, as you can see. Um, what do I predict for this complaint? Well, I do predict a ton of copy and paste. So thankfully I can skip over that stuff if there is a lot of copy and paste. If you want to get a more in detail one, I'd suggest looking at my Casey Tron complaint reading because I read that was the first one I read because it was the shortest. So I probably will go a bit more in depth on that one. And this one I'll just focus on anything that's different from the other complaint. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's all completely new stuff. The parts that I think will be copy pasted are going to be the sort of synopsis of the content nuke Hassan Piker. I believe that will be copy pasted in each complaint. And I also think the allegations against the H3 Snark mods, I think all that stuff will be copy and pasted. But then I think there will be sort of fresh characterizations of each of the individuals that these complaints are levied against. Just want to say, I'll repeat it from the last video, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal expert. I do have a little bit of legal knowledge, but it's mostly related to the UK. There are some similarities, obviously, between UK and US law, but don't take anything as I say as gospel or legal advice or anything like that. This is just my opinion and my first impressions. So let's get into it. Attorneys for the plaintiff, TED Entertainment, that's Ethan Klein's company. TED Entertainment v. Morgan Kamal Majed, probably not pronouncing that correctly, aka Frogan, an individual, and Doe's 1 to 10. Okay, so I'm 99% sure this Doe's 1 to 10 will be referring to the 10 H3 Snark mods. Okay. So they start out with a picture of Frogan leaving her chair whilst she's playing Ethan Klein's copyrighted video in the background. That's quite funny. Um, and then they, pardon me, as with the last one, they're starting with some quotes from her, which are going to be pretty damning against her. So it's in quotes. Time to watch the new nuke ethically. Hell yeah. Thank you guys so much. I do appreciate everyone's support. And thank you for watching it with me. And Frogan reading comments in chat prior to reacting to content nuke Hassan Piker. In quotes, I came from the H3 Snark Reddit. I found my way from Reddit. Okay, that's quite a solid link to the Snark Reddit, which is going to be bad against these mods if they can actually identify them, which I'm not convinced they will be able to, but in any case. Introduction. Okay, this is copy pasted. I'll skim over it. This lawsuit's about ending the practice of lazy reaction videos that violate copyright law, take revenue away from the original. And then they're referencing this Hossinzadeh v. Klein case, in which Klein was the defendant, where somebody was trying to sue him for not fairly using their content, and he was successful in that endeavor. Kind of changed the law. And then they're talking again here about group viewing sessions, which is the language they used in the Casey Tron complaint. I'm a fan of this term, group viewing session. I'm sure there must be some legal precedent around group viewing sessions, because if you think about it logically, say I don't know, say the new Marvel movie comes out, like I don't know, the new Spider-Man movie, whatever, and I get a copy, and then I get all my friends round for a group viewing session, and let's say I charge them like £1 or £2 to come and do it, it's kind of the same thing, isn't it? Like Frogan and Casey Tron and all these others are accepting donations during the viewing. They're profiting from the viewing, and they're also taking away traffic from Ethan Klein's copyrighted material. Forgive me if I have a break to sip on my cup of tea here. The last video was longer than I expected. It was like an hour and 15 minutes long, so I've made myself a cup of tea this time so my mouth doesn't get too dry. Okay, this is all copy-paste stuff, except they've changed the name from Casey Tron to Frogan. It might be slightly different, but it's materially the same stuff. They're saying she provides short surface level observations, and they're referencing the Warhol case, which was very prominent in the previous suit that I covered, the Casey Tron suit. And they're saying this is quintessential copyright infringement. You know what? This lawsuit seems a bit more polished than the previous one. It's got these like numbers on the edges, and it's got like the references in blue with hyperlinks. And they're talking about the location of Ethan's company, and that's obviously going to determine the jurisdiction and which laws apply to it. Okay, Frogan's an online streamer who resides in Los Angeles, California. And then this is a copy paste of what they know about the does. If you don't know, does is a legal term for unnamed or unknown individuals. So you say like John Doe or Jane Doe. You've probably seen it on the crime programs. If they find a dead body and they don't know who it is, they call them John Doe or Jane Doe. But it's the same in a lawsuit when they're sort of saying somebody's done something but they don't know their identity. And basically, I covered this in the last video. If you want to get the in-depth, sort of fresh look at everything, do watch the last video with the Casey Tron lawsuit. So basically, they have a section here of what they know about each of the Discord, not Discord mods. They are also Discord mods, but they're the H3 Snark Reddit mods, which is basically a hate Reddit against Ethan Klein and Hila Klein. And they pretty much list everything they know about these unnamed individuals, and it's mostly like their Discord handles and their Reddit handles, and some of them they seem to know if they're male or female somehow. And again, this is copy paste. Covered it in the last video. This is just the background of Ethan and Hila Klein's company, how they came to prominence, how they won the lawsuit against Matt Hoss, which is very relevant to all of this. Okay, now we've got a section about Frogan, so this is going to be fresh material. Frogan began streaming in June 2019 and on a more regular basis in August 21. Her career peaked in August 2022 when she averaged 738 viewers per stream. Ever since, she steadily lost popularity. This is kind of irrelevant and petty. I talked about this in the last video. I feel like some of this petty stuff is not going to impress a judge, and it might actually hurt them. And to be honest, if they're saying that Frogan's lost popularity, that almost helps Frogan in the case, because the less people that see her stuff, the better for Ethan Klein, really, because that's less people she's diverting away from his thing. I suspect the point that they're going to make here next is that she had a huge stream on the content nuke. It looks like it is. So in January 2025, the month of Frogan's group viewing session of the nuke, Frogan averaged 160 viewers in a stream. Frogan holds herself out as an expert. The area of her expertise, however, has yet to reveal itself. Again, very petty language that's not relevant to the case at all. I find it funny, but yeah, um, I would think that judges would appreciate you keeping your complaints short and to the point. She claims to be a public health expert, yet admits her academic and professional career in public health was stunted by her lack of self-discipline. According to Frogan, her academic advisor conducted an intervention to ensure she would complete her master's degree. Frogan also admitted to abandoning her brief career in public health after her boss wanted to discuss her performance with the manager of her department. She frequently portrays herself as a victim, again irrelevant but funny, particularly to cast herself as a Muslim woman persecuted by Zionists. The inconsistencies in her evolving narratives, however, reveal that she is not a victim at the hands of others, but her own. Following examples illustrate this pattern. Man, this, I'm going to keep saying it, this is completely irrelevant to the lawsuit. They're just like clowning on her. I don't have a problem with that in general. Like, if you want to clown on her, make a content nuke on her or talk shit about her on Twitter or on your show. But really, this is just like needless fluff in a lawsuit that's 64 pages long. Like, we don't need. It's like if somebody robs your house, you don't need to hear their life story in court, like, oh, he was born, blah, blah, blah. And probably all you need to know about them is what crimes they've committed in the past. Like, none of this is a crime. This is just character assassination. Again, I don't have a problem with it, but I do feel like this is not going to impress a judge or potentially a jury. Like, if a jury reads this, it seems very clear that you're just trashing her for the sake of it. It might actually make a jury sympathize more with Frogan. But anyhow, I'm going to read it because it's going to be funny and it's going to be interesting. Okay, so the professor who failed her. On August 7, 2016, Frogan posted on X that her professor made her write about the Arab-Israeli conflict and gave her a D on the paper when she was the only hijabi in the class. If you don't know, hijab is the traditional Muslim clothing for women. You will see that in the thumbnail of this video. Frogan always wears a hijab. Nearly a year later, the story changed to make the professor seem worse. June 10th, 2016, Frogan posted on X that her professor gave her an F because what she said about Israel was wrong. Several years later, the story mutated further to make the professor seem divorced from reality. May 8th, 2021, Frogan posted on X that her professor assigned her, the only Arab in the class, to do a project about the Arab-Israeli conflict and failed her when she talked about how Palestine is occupied by Israel. In this instance, Frogan provided a screenshot summarizing 2 slides from this paper or project, one of which contains a glaring inaccuracy that Frogan admits was wrong. In the slide, Frogan claimed that there were over 400 million Palestinians living in refugee camps in occupied territories and other Arab states. According to the UNWRA, not sure what that is, something United Nations, there are only 1.5 million Palestinians living in refugee camps. This glimpse into Frogan's paper and its obvious inaccuracy reveals why Frogan received a low grade. Alright, I just want to take this in. So if this is true, this is very funny because she's saying 400 million Palestinians and the UNWRA are saying there's only 1.5. So it might be understandable if she said like 3 or 4 million, but she's literally saying almost 400 times as many as there are. There's probably not 400 million Palestinians in Palestine. That's a huge number. What's that? So if the, I'm not going to do some math now, but 400 million sounds like, so wait, 400 million is almost half a billion, and isn't there like 6 or 8 billion people on Earth? So that would mean 1/8 of the world's population are Palestinians who are in refugee camps. Like not just Palestinian, not just 1/8 of the world is Palestinians, but 1/8 of the world is Palestinians who are in refugee camps. Okay, that is a glaring error, but maybe she just sausage fingered the keyboard, I guess. Okay, her paper was wrong because it contained factual inaccuracies. Instead, Frogan painted herself as the victim of a fanatical professor who discriminated against her and promulgated a counterfactual narrative that Israel is not occupying the West Bank and Gaza. The Zionist therapist. Okay, man, I'm gonna keep saying this, but this is so irrelevant to the lawsuit and serves no purpose other than to embarrass or paint Frogan in a bad light. I just feel that this, like, lawsuits and legal documents are not the place for this kind of thing. And again, I'm not being like, oh, don't joke around or don't make fun of people or don't be mean to people. It's not about that. It's about saving the time of the court, not bombarding them with irrelevant information, like not possibly making yourself look bad, not possibly turning the judge against you and the jury against you. Anyway, we're going to read it. So, October 24th, 2019, Frogan posted on X that she went to therapy for the first time, and after talking about her dad fleeing the Israel-Lebanon war, she was taken aback when her therapist responded with, "I'm Israeli. Do you have any issues with me being your therapist?" As a self-described public, uh, see this paragraph. Oh, okay, they are going to carry on. I thought, are they not going to elaborate on that? Okay, as a self-described public health expert, Frogan should have realized that her therapist was adhering to one, the American Counseling Association's Code of Ethics, and two, the UNWRA. Okay, wait a sec. Sorry, this has gone into references here. To the American. Okay. The American Psychological Association's Ethical Principles of Psychologists and Code of Conduct, and then they reference the exact part of the code that's relevant there. Several years later, Frogan's story about her therapist mutated. On February 29, 2024, she posted on X about her bad experience with a Zionist therapist. When Ethan responded that Frogan was using Zionist as a dog whistle for Jews, which was clearly the case, Frogan made another post that painted the therapist as absurdly rabid and unethical. Below is a true and correct screenshot of the post. Every time they post a screenshot, they have to say it's true and correct. It's like part of the legal jargon, just to say that it's not edited or anything like that. Okay, so what does Frogan say here? Let's zoom in a little bit. When I say my therapist was a Zionist when I went back to her in 2019, I mean she literally brought up that I was Lebanese unprompted and confronted me on it, saying she was Israeli. She asked if I had a problem with that. I felt like Israel had the right to exist, started asking more and more if I was frustrated with Islam and have considered taking off my hijab. I asked if she was all right with me being Lebanese, and she got really aggressive, accusing me of flipping it on her and refused to answer. So when I say Zionist, I don't mean she was Jewish. I mean she was a racist Israeli who could not help herself but to confront me about my ethnicity in what was supposed to be a therapy session. Okay, Frogan. And after that, everyone clapped. Have I missed something here? Okay. Frogan was an effusive fan of Ethan and Hassan when they did the Leftovers podcast. I think this is going to be. Wow. Blood libel conspiracy theories. To me, that's not particularly legalistic language. That's like some emotional thing you hear on Twitter. Um, just again, something that I would not personally put in a legal document, but okay. Okay, we've got another Frogan story here. 2:28 a.m. on October the 7th, i.e. when Jews and Israelis were gripped by panic and fear for their loved ones. If you've been living under a rock, there was a really severe terrorist attack in Israel on October the 7th where Hamas raped and killed a lot of Israelis. Graped, I should say. Frogan posted on X on the morning of October the 7th, apparently. Leftists preach and foam at the mouth at the thought of a revolution happening in America, but as soon as it happens in the Middle East, what they're doing is wrong. Due to the insensitivity and timing of the post, Ethan decided to quietly unfollow Frogan. And again, Ethan unfollowing Frogan has been sort of colloquially called online like the first domino that started all this nonsense with Hassan and everything. Shortly thereafter, Frogan liked a post on X by Alexa Vulovic, aka Boy Boy, which stated, "It's game over for Israel. James Bond is officially fighting for Hamas." Okay, so a bit of an edgy joke there, but again, completely irrelevant to this lawsuit. Frogan liked a Twitter post which was an edgy joke about a tragic thing that happened. It's not illegal, it's not like relevant. I don't think they should have put this in here. Like this stuff is stuff that would be great content for a hit piece video on Frogan, like a content nuke or a content cop on Frogan, but I don't think a judge is going to care about her liking tweets or possibly even really understand what that means. Gonna have a quick sip of my drink here. Wet the old whistle. Okay, October 11th, 2023, Frogan made a public scene over Ethan unfollowing her and posted on X, "That feeling when one of your favorite content creators unfollows you for being pro-Palestine, LMAO." She then went to Hassan's Discord to indulge in self-pity and pleaded with Ethan to refollow her. So again, just complete nonsense, internet, high school, childish, like teenage girl drama that a judge and a jury should not be exposed to and should not give a shit about. I'm sounding a bit harsh to Ethan here and his lawyer, but man, like, I like Ethan and I love that he's suing these guys, and I hope he wins, but this is crazy stuff to put in a legal document. Okay, next part. November 17, 2023. It was falsely reported that Israel bombed the Al-Shifa hospital. Frogan liked a tweet spreading grotesque blood libel. Again, they're using blood libel. Falsely claimed Israel admitted to harvesting skin and organs from dead Palestinians to use for skin grafts and organ transplants. And the majority of skin in Israel skin banks was stolen from Palestinians they killed. Below is a screenshot of such. Oh, pardon me. I'm not going to read this. Like, this is, again, so irrelevant to the lawsuit. Okay, 20. Frogan serves as one of the moderators of Hassan's chat. Again, I said this in the last video. Hassan is not a defendant in this case. Really, the only relevance he has legally to this case is that he was the subject of the video that Ethan copyrighted, and that's really not relevant to copyright law. Like, you can copyright a video about anything. Like, say I make a film about, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example. Say I make a film about like a fireman or something, or a policeman, a documentary about a policeman, let's say, and somebody infringes the copyright on my documentary about a policeman. We don't need to know the entire history of the policeman to sue someone for copyright infringement. Like, that's nothing to do with what happened. You need to prove that the copyright was infringed, that you own the copyright, that it wasn't infringed or used in fair use. Like, none of this has any relevance to the law, basically. And it's a bit frustrating to read. As funny as it is to read, like I say, this is funny stuff, and it's like salacious stuff, and it's gossipy, like stuff that's going to get internet people going. And I would love to see it in an H3 video or on their podcast. It's just like, don't put it in the legal document. And sorry if I'm repeating myself here, guys, but it is just like quite mind-boggling to me. Like, in UK law, none of this would fly at all. Like, this would be thrown out. I know that USA law is very different, so maybe I'm completely wrong in how I'm judging it, but even if it is the case that this stuff's okay in American law, I don't think it should be, because it's a waste of time for the court and the jury, who are already like being bombarded by all this ancillary information on all the cases they do, and on this case as well. For me, like, short and sweet is better. If you can just sum something up quickly and get to the point and convey the pertinent information, then I think that's when you're winning. Alright, so Frogan is one of Hassan's moderators. Far from being neutral arbiter, she weaponizes her role as Hassan's enforcer to ruthlessly, okay, blah blah blah, she's a bad Discord mod, I guess. Hassan's chat was full of hateful and bigoted comments about Ethan. Who cares? I mean, yeah, I care, but it's not for a court to decide who's being mean to Ethan on Discord or Twitch. Alright, this is a copy and pasted section from the previous, and this is all about the H3 Snark Reddit board, which is, as I mentioned, it's basically a hate club against Ethan and Healer. And the reason that they're including this in the court case is because they want to sue 10 moderators for the H3 Snark board. Oh my god, I've just seen something. Yeah, they want to sue these 10 moderators for the H3 Snark board, H3 Snark page, but they don't know their identities. So they're saying that they're gonna like try and find out their identities before the case goes to court. But I'm pretty dubious about whether they will be able to do that. And yeah, the reason I was just like saying for fuck's sake is because they have this whole section where they're comparing Hassan to this guy who worked with Hitler in World War II to exterminate the Jews. And they've got pictures of Hitler in this legal document, which I think is quite ridiculous, especially because Hassan is not a defendant in this case and is basically just by chance the subject of Ethan's video, which has nothing to do with copyright infringement or anything like that. Okay, yeah, this is all copy and pasted. This is basically explaining and showing screenshots of the H3 Snark page directing people to unofficial versions of Ethan's video so that he won't get profit from it. So I can skip through all of this because I covered it in the previous video. If you guys want to go back to that and get the full picture, please do so. They have shots from Discord. I'm just going to have a drink while I scroll through all this stuff. This part isn't examples of Ethan doing DMCA takedowns relating to that Reddit where they were reposting his videos and clips of his videos. And apparently they were like refusing to take them down because they were saying that the DMCAs, they didn't think they were issued by Ethan. I'm really curious to see how an American court will sort of take this document that's full of irrelevant, salacious information that's nothing to do with the case. Okay, and then this is a copy and pasted section, and this is just, I'm not I wonder if this is like relevant in terms of American law to show a full breakdown of what's in the copyrighted material. To me, this is not relevant to the issue at hand, which is copyright infringement. It was like I was saying earlier, if I make a documentary about a policeman and someone misuses it in, what's the word, in contrary to the copyright law, it doesn't really matter the content of the video, or like it doesn't matter, at least for the people to understand the full plot of the documentary. You just need to know that somebody's stolen it basically and used it. But they give a full like breakdown of what's in Ethan's hour-and-a-half long video. I think it might have been 2 hours long. Oh good, okay. I think I'm not sure if this was in the previous one, but there's a whole section on about Frogan in the content nuke. And actually I wonder if that's a defense for Frogan. She's been saying on Twitter that the video's about her, so why shouldn't she react to it? Which, I mean, I don't know the American law, but it seems to make sense. If somebody makes a video about you, surely you're the one person who's allowed to react to it. Okay, Destiny mentioned in the lawsuit, Stephen Burnell II. Okay. I believe this part is, yeah, this is copy pasted, but they've changed Casey Tron to Frogan basically. And this is just about how the Snark mods were directing people towards Frogan and Casey Tron's content so that Ethan wouldn't get any ad revenue from it or any viewers. They're saying it's not fair. And this is also copy pasted, and this is just all about the exact law in the correct jurisdiction. Pardon me, I keep misclicking there. And they keep referencing the Warhol case, and McGuckin, and Munge, and Elvis Presley case. Blanche v. Coons, I think that's a new one. They reference the previous Klein v. Hoss case. This is all copy and pasted, I think. VHT Inc. v. Zillow, I think that was a new one. Harper and Row Publishers v. Nation Enterprises. So I think there maybe are some differences here. Google v. Oracle America, I think that these ones were in the other lawsuit. And then sort of the summary here. Frogan's group viewing session failed to make fair use. They're referencing her statements demonstrating that she intended for it to serve as a substitute for the nuke. That's important because that's one of the pillars of fair use, is that you're not making it a substitute. Okay, they've got a quote here from Frogan. Frogan made a statement on stream demonstrating her group viewing session, along with the group viewing sessions of her friends, would serve as a substitute for the original. So that's pretty juicy. Let's see this quote. He, referring to Ethan, wants to maximize numbers. They're saying views here. Here's the thing though, no matter what, there are going to be people that the audience would rather watch it with, no matter what time he goes live. Denims goes live at 7 in the morning. Sean goes live early as F. Mike from PA also goes on early as F. I go live in the afternoon, but lately I've been going live a little bit earlier. And then they're talking about Frogan acknowledging it's a group viewing session, acknowledging that H3 Snark is funneling audience members to Frogan's viewing session. And she makes statements such as, "We have a bingo card. The Snark Reddit made it. Shout out to them. Thank you guys so much. I do appreciate everyone's support, and thank you for watching it with me. First time viewer, time to watch the nuke ethically. Hell yeah. I found my way from Reddit. Hi guys, welcome Reddit people, Reddit people, Reddit people. I came from the H3 Snark Reddit. Ethan is so pathetic while Hassan is unbothered and having a great time. Frogan's response, exactly. We're going to watch live, right? Yes, we're going to watch it live. Frogan begins her group viewing session of the nuke 1 minute after the nuke was released to the public. So Frogan got there 13 minutes before Caseytron, apparently. This part is something similar to with Caseytron. They're saying the fact that she viewed it live demonstrates she did not pre-screen it to formulate her opinions prior to the broadcast. That seems to be some kind of legal distinction where if you watch something before you react to it, it means that it's somehow better in the eyes of the law. Maybe because you can give more input and better input. And then they're talking about her personally and financially benefiting from streaming it. Frogan watches the nuke mostly at 1.5 to 1.75 speed for 30 seconds with no commentary whatsoever. Frogan's not even paying attention to the nuke, rather her head is buried in her phone, texting someone else. In the aggregate, these excerpts comprise 72 minutes, or approximately 70% of the nuke. And then they're basically saying she didn't provide much commentary. So Then they've got this chart here of the exact time she watched the nuke and what speed it was played at, and then duration the nuke. Okay, so I'm not sure what this is really meant to show, apart from that she was playing it at different speeds at different times. It's nice that they went into that detail, but I'm not really sure the point of showing this. It seems like a very time-consuming exercise. I would have thought that they would have done something like included the amount of time she commented. And then they're talking about chair reacting. She left the room while the content was playing. 2:15. So basically, for 1 minute and 51 seconds, she played it at 1.5 speed while she's in the toilet. When she returns, she's silent for an additional minute and 3 seconds. They've really gone into detail with this. Apparently, Frogan's deleted all of her Twitch VODs as well, which isn't really how lore works. Then they're just talking about her not saying anything. So there is some new stuff in here, it's good to see. And then they're talking about other people she's copyright infringed, like Bad Bunny. She plays Arab Money by Busta Rhymes without any commentary or criticism. So these are good, relevant examples of like a pattern of behavior of her not caring about copyright and not acting in fair use. They're talking about all the things that she didn't address in the video. Not super relevant, but I don't think it's relevant that she didn't address topics in the video. It's relevant that she didn't provide any input, well, provide enough input at different times. It doesn't really matter which ones she addressed or didn't. It's more for me a matter of how much commentary did she provide, and was it criticism, and was it commentary, and was it in fair use? Okay, they're just talking about all the topics of the video that she didn't address. On at least 3 occasions, Frogan reads chats calling her out for her failure to address points. Don't you have anything to say? Could you make at least one good point? How anyone listens or watches you is insane. Man, this is embarrassing. This is relevant though to the law. Like stuff like this, it is clowning on her, but it's also relevant because it's not like she was completely ignorant of her lack of input. She was reading the chat, she read these comments, and she didn't like modify her behavior to comment more or make it fair use. So this is good stuff. Frogan's response to these critiques effectively concedes she's incapable of providing substantive commentary. And she says, what commentary do you want me to add? Like, oh, this guy's a fucking idiot, he's mentally ill and he's having a mental breakdown and uploaded it to fucking YouTube. What do you want me to make a point on? And then she calls people bitches, apparently. On at least 3 occasions, she reads chats calling her out for being a hypocrite. I don't think this is super relevant, but blah blah blah, blah blah blah. I don't really care to read this much. Sorry, I keep doing that. My mouse is super sensitive. Okay. One of the most frequent utterances by Frogan is expressing excitement over the appearance or non-appearance of her friends in the nuke, and they give a bunch of timestamps. In these specific instances, she does not address how her friends are portrayed in the nuke. So basically what they're saying here is she's saying, oh, that's iDubbbz, or that's... I don't think iDubbbz was in the nuke. It'll be like, oh, that's Hassan, oh, that's Mike from PA, or whatever. So, like, oh, that's people I know, but she's not actually contributing anything in terms of commentary or critique, and that is important. Okay, she makes incoherent utterances. They give timestamps of all these supposedly incoherent utterances. On other occasions, Frogan will discuss completely unrelated topics such as the purported harassment of her friend, an emergency notification she received, thanking another streamer for raiding, i.e. directing viewers to, okay, that's kind of important. So somebody else is now directing more viewers to her stream that are creating a market substitute for Ethan Klein's product. Talking about Keemstar, arguing with her chat on completely unrelated points, and they give timestamps for all of these, so this is good. Discussing members of the crew for the H3 podcast. In other instances, she merely narrates what is shown in the nuke. Okay, frequently Frogan engages in superficial ad hominem attacks on Ethan, such as calling him stupid, crashing out, having a mental breakdown. I don't think this is relevant. I think you could probably class that as critique or commentary, to be honest, in a country with such like stringent freedom of speech laws as the US. Frogan complains about the length of the nuke with little explication. Frogan plays the bingo game created by H3 Snark. Other times Frogan makes brief and surface level insults and complaints about the nuke. She says she's disgusted. She says it's a clip compilation with voiceovers. Complaining about how Hassan's dog is portrayed. Again, who cares about that? Apologies. Can I do this with my keys? Yeah, that's better. I'm not sure any of this is relevant. Like, this is just saying exactly what Frogan was critiquing about the video. She says Ethan doesn't care about Muslims. Who cares? Falsely claiming Arabs have not killed Israelis. Blah, blah, blah. Like, this is just completely ancillary stuff that these people are never going to agree on. Healer called for killing baby militants. Like, if Ethan wants to bring up this stuff, this is like defamation stuff. This is not copyright infringement stuff. Ethan is dishonest. Like, all of this is not relevant to copyright law in the slightest. It's a shame because they had a really good segment there with lots of good points, and now they're sort of going into like, oh, she was mean to me. Okay, now they're saying the remainder involved making repetitive comments to defend herself, demonstrating she could have used far less of the nuke to make her critiques and defend herself. Okay, This seems relevant to me. Regurgitating her bitterness at the nuke's joke that she is paid by Qatar. Okay, again, not really relevant. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. We are 57 pages in out of 64, so we're getting towards the end. I am going to skip over the stuff that's just like irrelevant internet drama. So now it's about Frogan saying she wishes veterans get PTSD. Obviously a horrible thing to say, but not relevant to copyright law. And then they're talking about her being banned on Twitch. Again, completely irrelevant. And then they're talking about her like trying to sweep for the fact that she posted an insensitive statement on October the 7th. Who cares? Not relevant to copyright law. Talking about her critiquing Frogan's panel at TwitchCon. This was like her making a Arab to Jew tier list, I believe, but again, not relevant. Yeah, they're really going into this drama about Sabra means a Jew born in Israel. Like, yeah, fair enough. That was probably quite anti-Semitic, but it's not relevant to copyright law at all. She provided no substantive response to being called anti-Semitic. Who cares? It's not illegal to be anti-Semitic, and it's nothing to do with copyright law. Sorry if I'm repeating myself a lot here, guys, but I feel like this could be about 30 pages shorter. Okay, Ethan is a Zionist. Blah, blah, blah. This is just all the commentary she made defending herself against the nuke, which really isn't relevant. In fact, they might be helping her case here, showing all this stuff that she did say. Okay, this is interesting. There are brief and fleeting moments when Frogan makes a highly transformative use of the nuke, where the nuke seeks to expose how Hassan radicalizes people online to be anti-Semitic and anti-Israeli. Frogan attempts to use the nuke for the exact opposite purpose, to radicalize her audience to be more anti-Semitic and anti-Israeli. So this is like a sort of petty backhanded compliment to her. The transformative nature of these moments are undermined, if not erased, by showing far more of the nuke than is necessary to achieve this purpose. Examples include blah blah blah. I'm not going to go into these examples. On 3 occasions, Frogan accuses Ethan of conflating Judaism with Zionism. Who cares? He really wanted to get all this drama and beef into the lawsuit. The nuke. Okay, this seems like a relevant piece. The nuke takes the vast majority of the screen for Frogan's group viewing session. This is something they mentioned in the KC-tron one, how they just have a little camera on them in the corner and they're basically just playing 90% of the content with like 10% of the screen showing their reaction. Now they're saying this is relevant as well. Her use of the nuke was highly commercial. She called on her audience to pay for a subscription to her channel. She thanks new subscribers and she promotes her podcast. Before the group viewing session, this is interesting and relevant as well. Frogan places her paid subscription goal prominently on the screen, including a chat PowerPoint topic. They give a timestamp for all these, a heart cake baking stream and a sleep stream. Frogan received numerous paid subscriptions and donations, which would result in an announcement playing over the nuke. So this is kind of copy and pasted from the KC-tron one, but this is actually relevant as it shows that they profited from this content theft. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is all like copy pasted stuff where they're just saying how this does not constitute fair use. And this is copy pasted from the previous one as well. And then they're talking about how it became widespread and other people did it and how this resulted in a loss. Okay, we're getting to the ends now. I'll go over this again briefly. I'll skip over some of the repetitive parts from the last video, but this is the first claim for relief, and this is basically what they're asking for from the court. And it just says that Ethan Klein owns the copyright and registered it. Frogan took it from his YouTube channel. Ethan Klein did not give any license or consent for Frogan to exploit it in any manner. Her viewing constituted an unauthorized reproduction, public performance, and derivative work in violation of Ethan's rights as set forth in US Code 17106. Due to this copyright infringement, Ethan has suffered damages in an amount to be established at trial. Ethan's not expecting to go to trial. He's hoping to settle, I think. Okay, Frogan obtained profits they would not have realized but for her infringement. So this is like copy-pasted stuff. The copyright infringement was willful, intentional, malicious, and/or taken with reckless disregard for Ethan's rights. Second claim for relief. Okay, this is a bit different, I think. Okay, so this is against the H3 snark mods. So this is kind of a copy-paste of the previous part, but it's just saying all those things exactly the same against the snark mods. And then, okay, this is actually the part where they're asking for what they want from the court, prayer for relief. So they're asking for Ethan be awarded the defendants, each of the defendants' profits plus his losses that are related to the infringement of the nuke, the exact sum to be proven at the time of trial, or if elected, statutory damages in the amount of 150,000. That's the amount specified in 17504 USC. Also, reasonable attorneys' fees and costs under 17 USC 505. And Ethan will be awarded pre-judgment interest and will be awarded any such further relief as the court deems proper. Romban Nassim, I guess that's Ethan's lawyer there, and Heerbar Nassim. I wonder if that's like a brother and sister, or a couple, or a brother and a brother. I think it's a guy, he said. Okay. Well, we got through it. Hopefully that was a bit quicker than the last one. I kind of feel like there was a lot of unnecessary stuff in here. Like, you know, when you're writing an essay and you're trying to fill out the word count, so you just end up writing a load of random stuff that's not particularly relevant. It feels a bit like that. I get that it's kind of funny to him to get all this sort of point scoring against his enemies into the lawsuit, but I really don't think it helps. And I find it actually quite crazy how much of that is in there and how much random law that's completely irrelevant to copyright. A lot of it is written like a defamation suit, like a lot of it's like, oh, they said this mean thing about me and they said this about me that actually wasn't true, and here's the evidence that it wasn't true. Like none of that's relevant to copyright infringement, but overall, I think they've done a great job of proving the copyright infringement. So hopefully all the extra stuff doesn't make them lose any points with the judge or the jury. I'll be going over the denims one next. That's the longest one, but hopefully a lot of it will be copy paste stuff that I can skim over. And yeah, if you really do want to get the full picture, check out the KC Tron video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.